Hi. Hey, let's talk a couple of minutes about communication and some of the ground rules of good communication, the kind of communication that lets us feel like we're seen and we're heard and we're connecting with our partner and we're growing closer together rather than further apart. And so, one element of that is how to be assertive. And that means I'm asking for what I need and for what I want. And that sounds very simple, but lots of us don't do that. Lots of us, for a variety of reasons, tend to not ask for what we really need and will really want because of lots of things. One of them is maybe like family of origin. Maybe you grew up in a household where that wasn't practiced. Maybe you grew up in a household where children were seen and not heard. And when you did share what you need and what you wanted, you were shut down, and it was a negative experience for you. So you learned how to manipulate or learn how to do without, and it probably turned into things like resentment and rebellion, which is what we don't want to continue on in our marriage and relationship with our spouse. So, and the other reason sometimes we have a hard time asking for what we need and what we want is because of our personality type. And there's tons of personality types that are out there, lots of assessments. And so we're different from one another in our personality types. Some people don't even have an issue about being able to ask for what they need and what they want, which is really good and really healthy. But most of us have a challenge with it. So if I'm asking for what I need and what I want, and the other person is listening, and I feel seen and valued, my relationship with them is healthier and we feel more connected. We're being that one that Jesus wants us to be, a husband and wife. It's the mystery that's involved with Ephesians and how God made us. The other side of the equation is called active listening. We're going to call it that. Some people call it reflective listening. And that is when the other person is talking about their needs or their wants. And sometimes they're talking to us about us, which is even more challenging. They're wanting us to do something more or something less, and it's bothering them or irritating them, or they have a hunger and a desire for more of our connection with them in specific ways. And so we have an opportunity to listen to them first. What is it? Trying to remember this. James 1, I think verse 19 says, let everyone be quick to listen, slow to speak, and then slow to anger. So if we're being quick to listen, God shows up. And that's the thing, that's the key or the secret sauce in our communication, is we're trying to make places where the Lord shows up with his presence and his grace and his help and his love, because his desire is even more than ours, that he wants us to be more one. He created us to be one than even we want to. So that's one of the ways that that can happen, is we're letting the other person talk about what they need and what they want, and we're being quiet. We're listening to them. And then when they're finished, we're being able to feed back to them through our own filters. Is this what you're saying? Is this what you want? Are you feeling irritated? You're feeling angry? You're feeling lonely? You're feeling sad? Whatever it is. And the tendency for the one who's hearing, especially if I'm involved, is I'm having some kind of maybe trigger that happens. And that's why it's so important to make space for the Lord. And so when we're quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, the favor of God begins to show up. 1 Peter 5:5 says, let everyone, 1 Peter 5:5 says, everyone clothe yourselves with humility towards one another, for God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. One version says favor to the humble. So when we're humbling ourselves, letting the other person go first, and we're listening, and we're not communicating back right away our opinion or why we can or can't do something, but we're trying to understand, then God's presence is on that, because that's a step of humility, and that's what we want. We want his help. We want compassion. It's the first nature in Exodus 34 of who the Lord is. He says that he is the Lord, compassionate and gracious and patient, slow to anger. And so that kind of element comes in to these moments where we're able to listen to the other person and communicate back. You're important. You're more important to me than the subject matter. So I'm feeding back to you. Is this what you're saying? Is this what you need? Is this what you want? Even if you know maybe you can't even supply that right now or can't make those adjustments, you're making them feel seen and heard. Matthew 7:12, I believe, yeah, Matthew 7:12 talks about this. It says we're to treat other people the way we want to be treated. And it's right in the middle of the context. It says this is the narrow gate, the small path that leads to life, and few find it. So you have to be intentional about these things, and that's what we're talking about with communication. So that's kind of the end of my talk about that. Maybe we can do another encouragement and instructional thing around conflict resolution and how to go on from communication to solving problems in a way that draws us closer together so we can be the one that God's called us to be. Okay, thanks for listening. God bless you. Bye.